I would like to start, first of all, by thanking you for coming, thanking you, my students, for being at the origin, based on our classroom discussions about issues that concern us as a people, us as part of this nation. I want to thank you for that. And I would like to thank my colleagues. I think I see the chair of math, Dr. Wyndham, is present. I see the chair of the Faculty Senate, who has been a supporter of the interdisciplinary seminar series. She is here present. And I would like to acknowledge the sponsors of the interdisciplinary seminar series. It is always a tradition that when we have an August speaker like Mr. Malden, we have to make sure that our sponsors remember that we do not delay gratitude. Delaying gratitude is something that we should just not do. So I want to acknowledge the Andrew Mellon Foundation, the Tuskegee University Faculty Senate, whose president is here, the National Park Services, the College of Arts and Sciences, the College of Agriculture, Environment and Nutrition Sciences, the Department of Modern Languages, Communication and Philosophy, as well as the Legacy Museum, for providing us a space where we could sit and hear and tap from the fountain of knowledge that is Mr. Malden. I would not have much to say introducing Mr. Malden because he is a living legend. If you've not already Googled him, because one of the things I encourage you in class is look up information about people whose name you hear. Don't just assume people are anonymous. And I remember in most of my classes, when we looked up, immediately the Library of Congress popped up with information about him, right? And I just want to reiterate the fact that Mr. Malden was Dr. Martin Luther King's barber, and he did so from 1954 to 1960. He started cutting Dr. King's hair in 1948 and served many other legendary figures like Little Richard, B.B. King, Reverend Abernathy's wife, and many of the civil rights activists who actually strategized the 1954 Montgomery Bus Boycott. And we are here in February celebrating Black History Month. What other way to celebrate it than by bringing somebody who was there at the very when it was happening, who saw it firsthand, who is here to take us to a journey back in time. You guys might not know what it means to take a journey back in time. Mr. Malden sitting here is living history. He is history. He has the history your history books have not told you. And this is your opportunity, coming close to history, to hear him, to ask him questions, and to fellowship with him. So I would ask all of you to give Mr. Malden a big TU welcome. TU?
You know.
That was not good enough. TU?
You know.
Mr. Malden, you have the floor.
My name is Nelson Malden. I was born in Monroeville, Alabama in 1933. I'm the youngest of 7 brothers. My father was a professional barber. He was stationed in Germany for 2 years, so he was quite a few white people there at that time. We moved to Pensacola in 1934 when I was 1 month old. And so I attended Chapel James Mother Kindergarten School for my first education. Are you all familiar with Chapel James here? Mm-hmm. You were the first black folks I joined, so that was my first school. So she put a spanking on me. My mother didn't like it. She put me out of the school, which was a big mistake. So anyway, in 1950, when I finished high school in 1952, the closest black college in Pensacola was in Alabama State. So I started there in 1952. And I was the youngest barber there, and I had a chance to catch all the new customers. So one morning they had a 10 o'clock class, and they would like to cut another class out 20 minutes an hour. So I finished my barbershop opened at 7 o'clock, I cut a few heads, and by 9:15 I walked out in front of the barbershop to get a little fresh up for my 10 o'clock class. By 9:30, when I got ready to go back into the shop and get my books and go to my 10 o'clock class, I saw this blue Pontiac pull up, and I saw this young man get out. And I looked at my watch, and I looked at his head, I said, hey, I can knock him out in 15 minutes. He came in the shop, I connected in, and he cut back his neck, he came, that's what he gets from down. I said, oh yeah, I said, you need to preach the trial thing in Dexter. So yeah, that's the church I've been going to. So after I couldn't finish cutting the shop, like any new customer, I gave him a mirror to say I like the back of his head. And he told me pretty good. So I said, pretty good? He said, yeah, pretty good. That was kind of an insult. He said, probably pretty good. But anyway, he came back 2 weeks later, I was busy. The other barber was making, but he waited on me. So I said, that must have been a pretty good haircut. Yeah. I said, that must have been. Oh, yeah. So, right here. Yeah. So I said, that must have been a pretty good haircut. I said, that must have been a pretty good haircut. He said, you all right? I said, dog, this guy didn't be hard to yell. He told me I was a pretty good haircut, and I asked him, he said, you all right? So anyway, after I cut his hair for 7 or 8 times, I noticed he was kind of light on his tip. So I decided I'd use a little psychology. And I said, Rev, I said, when you finish preaching the sermon on Sunday, some of the members tell you what a good sermon. I said, doesn't that make you feel good? I said, you go to the restaurant, you have a nice meal, and the waiter give you good service, and you give a nice tip. I said, don't you think that make us feel good? He said, yes. So he asked me, he said, do you put 10% of your earnings in the checks? He said, my Bible tells me you're supposed to put 10% of your earnings in the checks. I said, Rev, I'm a student at Alabama State College. They cannot afford to put 10% in check. He said, I'm the pastor. They have me back in check. I can't afford to get you. So that's how the relationship got started. I cut us out from 1954 to 1960. We moved back to Atlanta. When Malden invited Reverend King to India for a vacation, 2 of his faculty members went with him from Alabama State. Dr. Lawrence Reddy was the second president of Shinburg in New York, and he came to Alabama State to teach political science. And so when he came back without a dispute for leaving the state job, going to India with Reverend King, and the governor of the state of Alabama filed all of the civil rights at the time. Grand Ralph and Mary Beth Lawrence Reddy. And Reverend King was so upset because he felt responsible for the occasion, so he left Montgomery and moved back to Atlanta in 1960.
Okay.
In the barbershop I worked in at the time, it was probably when I only started the barbershop, it was 1 block from Alabama State County. And so I had a chance to cut some of the historical people there. Brother John was pastor at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church before Reverend King came here. Brother John was a retired president from Virginia Theological Seminary. He came to Alabama in 1948 to take his pastorship at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. And so after the church fired him because he was such a controversial figure, and because he preached with son one Sunday, after a black man was killed on the bus, he was getting drunk and he dropped the money on the floor, and the bus driver told him to pick it up. The black man said, you pick it up. And he was shot and killed in downtown Montgomery. And so Brother John put a sign on his marquee, say to kill Negroes in Alabama. And so the city called him in for that son was too controversial. And Brother John told the city commission that you each allow preaching is a danger to God out of the 12 disciples who were born out in that word. So like the son to today, I want to show you some shots on the screen. I'm gonna read this story for each one of those pictures.
Let's see. Slideshow.
I'm on the, that's me on the front chair. That was in 1950 when I first came in Montgomery. I was very fortunate to have the front chair of the leading barbershop in Montgomery at that time. The man in the middle, he was the owner of the barbershop. That's where, and the barbershop ran about 3 blocks where Reverend King lived at that time. And that's my brothers. And on the back chair here, Reverend King, see those seats? When Reverend King would come in the barbershop, this barbershop then was a half a block from where Reverend King lived. And when he come in, two of his oldest children were born half a block from the barbershop, Yolanda and Martin. And so when he come into the barbershop, he can always take a seat in the far back instead of taking up space in the front because we did a lot of reading, writing in the barbershop when we get away from his house. And so one day, he was in there, and 2 old men were sitting right beside him. And one of those men started coughing. The old man said, "What are you taking for your cough?" He said, "I'm taking aspirin and lung juice." The man, it's the best thing you can take for your cold. Take you some, the other man told him, take you some time to rub it on your chest. I guarantee your cold will be gone the next morning. And there were 2 students up in front of the barbershop, one from Selma and one from New York. And the boy from New York got a ticket doing 40 miles an hour and 30 miles home. And so the other boy from Selma said, "Man, you got to learn to talk to these white folks down here. You're not saying yes." No, he said, "Yes, sir," and also you probably got that ticket. All the 2 students left, the 2 old men left, the other 2 barbers went to lunch, and just I finished my last cup. So Reverend King got up and said, "You know about them?" I said, "What's that, Reverend?" "I learned more in this barbershop today than I ever learned in any one day of my life." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Barbershop medicine. To get to the man," he said, "Barbershop medicine to get to the cemetery. Barbershop medicine to get to the cemetery." So what he was saying, you got to be careful where your information comes from. So that was a typical case. All the pictures you see on the background, I gave up to the Smithsonian. That was the barbershop front. And that was the barbershop. We had a shoe shine standing there. Those are the one that the New York Times interview. That was pretty much. All those pictures you see, most of them I gave to the Smithsonian. This picture here, Civil Rights Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, they want to do a documentary on Martin Luther King barber, Obama's barber, and the man who carried the flag and marched himself in Montgomery, Mr. Armstrong. And so what happened is the barber, Obama's barber, I asked him when we was in Birmingham, if any chance I could cut Obama's hair for one time, just for his daughter to read. He said he was too, he arranged that. So I could at least get his hair. But he tried to arrange, but he was never able to do it. But he told Obama about my civil rights activity in Montgomery. And so one day in the barbershop, a van pulled up across the street with 18 cadets. And I thought they were going down to the parsonage. My barbershop was half a block where Reverend King lived, so a lot of people go down to the parsonage for tours. And so the bus parked across the street, so I saw those people get out. I just knew they were going down to the parsonage. And all of them came in the barbershop. The white man you see on the screen right, he came in and said, "Hey, what's up?" He said, "I'm from the White House." I said, "White House?" I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "We came in to see Mr. Malden prison bars in the civil rights movement. Then after all 18 of them came in, he asked me to stand up and hold my left hand out, and he gave me a belt from the breast point to this. And that was about the high point. And the president of the United States, he was sending me a belt for, that was a big day for me that shot. But we made 9 shots at a time because the camera, we made 9, but then we had 9 other cadets in the same, it was the same background. And that was the medal they gave me. Okay, in Montgomery, they had 700 black members at the largest white church in Montgomery in 1800. Okay, you can imagine he had 700 people that served in the largest black church in Montgomery. So in 1857, black people in the basement decided they want to build their own church. And the minister helped them, marched them out, and marched them downtown to another site. After he bought the lot for the church. And he built the First Baptist Church color. And so then after, that was in this found the church in the white church found in 1829. Then 10 years later, after this First Baptist Church color, that was some faculty members at Alabama State. They didn't like the way the style of preaching, so they wanted that preacher to be more educated. And so then they marched out in 1867, and marched down to Dexter Avenue and built Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. And that was the church that Reverend King passed from 1954 until 1960. So this was the white church here. And in that church was the basement with 700 blacks. We had a service every Sunday. That was kind of unusual at the time for a white church to have that member, but that was typical. They said the plantation owners would carry their slaves to church. They had less stealing because they Christianized. So but they made more money by Christianizing them than they would other people. Most of the churches didn't have some of the churches had a balcony for black, but this church didn't have a basement for black. And the preacher was kind of liberal on that time up. And this is the church they built, the First Baptist Church called downtown. And that was right there, the Baptist church that Reverend King founded before he left in 1960. Of course, that was Africa's Shellersburg, civil rights leader from Birmingham. That was the lady in the middle. That was Miss Virginia Dell's daughter. Virginia Dell was a white lady who played a major part in the civil rights movement. Her husband was President Roosevelt, communications secretary. He's the one who broke up AT&T and the Bell South and Bell Atlantic. That was her father. So when they came back to Alabama, and so she helped black people to get a movement. And I was the first black, because she got, I was the first black person to run for office in 1900. And so what happened is her mother, we was up to the house one night, her mother told me, she said, Nelson, I want you to go down Monday morning and tell the whole nation over the Democratic Party that you were qualified to run for office. I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, Democratic Executive Committee. She said, you should go down there and tell them, you don't have to know what I'm talking about. You tell them, don't you tell them I sent you. She was white. So I go down there Monday morning and go to the office. He had 2 black fellas in there I knew. And that was going to help me out. And I said, I come down to see Mr. Nation. I want to qualify to run for Democratic Executive Committee. And he was scared. And so I went in the office until I qualified. So I ran for him. That was Shellersburg, who was up there. And that was Mr. Martin, Reverend King, chemistry teacher at Morehouse. The lady on the right, that was Miss Kenya McGuire. She was the first lady of Costa Rica. When she was a young girl, she went to Costa Rica to visit. And there she met the future president of Costa Rica. They got married. So when he died, she moved back to Alabama. And so she asked me, could I find a date? And so I said, oh, I'm sick of that find you one. And so then I got her, Reverend King, chemistry teacher from Morehouse. So the next time I saw her, she said, hey, Nelson. She said, next time, see, can you find me somebody straight? That was right. Now that was Georgia Gilmore. This Georgia Gilmore was a cook, and she was a member of a club called Club from Nowhere. And every time you have any civil rights meetings in churches, wherever, her club would always bring sandwich and food to feed the civil rights people. And so she had 4 children and no husband. So Reverend King got to be famous. He would go around and take out some of his big VIP people to this house, and they had lunch. But what had happened, she was a laundry 25 workers in Montgomery, Alabama, and she was trying to take the order in longhand. Somebody called in, John Smith, he said, she take this order. Then another 600 times take the whole hour. So Reverend King came up with a system for her. And Mrs. Hazel Gray, the secret to help her speed up her operation. And so Reverend King told us to give each one of your customers a number at the laundry, 1 through 25. And give the girl at the laundry a free meal every day to take the order. And he said, when you give them a number, each person at the laundry has a number, and you give whatever you're going to serve that day, give your meat a number, and your vegetables an alphabet. So you have fried chicken will be 1, stewed meat will be 2, fried fish will be 3, collard greens will be 8, potato salad B, string beans C. And when you call that girl in the morning and tell her what you're going to serve that day, and she's going to take the order from the laundry, and she's going to call you, and you already got your recipe before you get your house. So when they call, Jane Bett's name is one on the list of Jane Bett. She didn't say the name Jane Bett. Oh, she's going to say 1. That's the name for the person wanting the food. Then your meat, you want 2, which is fried chicken. Then the vegetables will be CB. You follow that? Mm-hmm. And so then as a result of that, then tea is ice cream, whatever she said, tea and all other stuff. But anyway, as a result of that farmer with Mrs. Hazel Gray and Reverend King gave it to her. Then Reverend King got his PhD in systematic theology from Boston Theological Seminary. And so that was, before she died, she was a very historical person because the restaurant she worked in was downtown Montgomery, and the man fired her because she was giving food away to the civil rights people, and I guess he got the impression that she was stealing, but she was not, she was not stealing food from him. But anyway, that was real found out, and she died, she was pretty well off because of Reverend King popularity going around and eat every day. Andrew Young, John Lewis, that's far comes Dr. Reddick. Dr. Reddick had been the second president of the New York. He succeeded. Schindberg was from Puerto Rico. So Schindberg felt that black people value is supposed to be kept in some type of museum. So he built a museum in New York called the Schindberg Museum. And he died in 1925, and Dr. Reddick got to be the second president of that museum. But black history and black culture was stored in some type of form of sense. Larry Angelo, the Roman Benny, all remember that organization. So in 1948, he decided he'd come to Alabama to further his research in black history and black culture. And so he got a job teaching political science at Alabama State College. So in 1940, in 1950, 55, president of Morehouse College called the president of Alabama State and asked President Clinton could his young boy finish up his dissertation at Boston Theological Seminary. President Clinton agreed and let Reverend King use the library facility to put the finishing text on his dissertation. And that's when he and Dr. Reddy got to be friends. So that's Mrs. Burks. She was one of the members of the old Mrs. Burks in 1944 tried to join a white organization to help her people with the white club help. White woman helping, but she was turned down. She did not get enough votes to become a member of the women's club. Her husband was pretty well off. He repaired jewelry downtown Montgomery. That was Joanne Roberts. She very familiar with her. She came to Montgomery in 1949 to teach English. And that's what Mrs. Burks got to be a very close friend. And if she came to Montgomery in 49, but she was not too familiar with the bus seating arrangement. And so what happened, she sat pretty close to the front. And the bus driver told us to get out of that seat, you ain't no white woman. And the worst thing you can say to a fast-speaking person, give her the pressure, and she was trying to pass her by. And she jumped off the bus in the middle of the block. And said the first thing popped in her mind was boycott, boycott. You know, Reverend King did another good thing. That was the man that wanted Reverend King to be the leader. This man there was over for this. He was over the voters' league. And every time you got rid of one black, he tried to get people registered to vote. down to the courthouse and see if you pass the test. But anyway, you had a test that you had to pass. And all they give you is 10 questions, but you had to pass 5. Anything under 5, you fail. And anything up to 5, you get a chance to pass. I kept my test. The test basically designed for you not to pass. So you can imagine the people giving you a test. One of them to give you, see how well you do that. The other for you to go back and sit in the part, give away 6 or 7 questions on the test. So one of the questions, the president elected at the general election in November, take office the following year on what day? The president elected at the general election in November, take office the following year on what day? That was one of the easiest questions. Okay, January 20. Okay, when the Constitution was approved by the original colony, how many states had to ratify it in order for it to be in effect? You have to pay 5, get down to 5, but the person got down to 5, anything under 5, and fail, you have to go back and take it down. When the Constitution was approved by the original colonies, how many states had to ratify it in order for it to be in effect? 9. I know everybody know this. Book words are required by law to be on all coins and paper currency in the United States. I guess that was right. The number of representatives which the state is entitled to have in the House of Representatives is based on. Speak up, the white woman gave me. White woman gave me this test. This is my test. Okay. The number of representatives which the state is entitled to have in the House of Representatives is based on.
Is it multiple choice?
That's what me and geographic said. But, no. It said the number of representatives which the state is entitled to have in the House of Representatives is based on the population. Cases tried before a court of law are 2 types, civil and can you imagine people from Alabama like the time, like in low educated county like Ramsey County, and all the go through that stuff. But basically, an example, you really like to pass the test. You wouldn't examine, you know, how many people could go down and take the test. They put me in jail because I kept the test, you know. He said that if it were proposed to join Alabama and Mississippi to form one state, what group would have to vote in approval in order for this to be done? Ooh, that was something crazy. But anyway, give an example, United States. That had also been Congress and the legislation of both states. But anyway, it was 67 questions on the test. And you had to pass 5. If you fail, if you fail 4, then you got to take it over again. But they lose, give you a chance. Plus you have poll tax, you have to pay also, and all the people. And that was Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon was over Mr. Nixon felt that black people, to get that right, he had a strong belief in the United States Supreme Court. And he felt that black people, that was the best argument. But the other man he had a strong belief in the right to vote. He showed us the same picture you just saw on the screen. So this man told me how he had rigged the election to get Reverend King elected to be the first president of the Montgomery Bus Boycott. He knew this man didn't have more black representatives because the NAACP had more members than any other organization in Montgomery at that time. He knew if the election was going to be legit, the NAACP was going to outvote him. And so what he did, he got many people to go to Reverend King was elected in Malden Church that morning to be the leader of the civil rights movement. And he would go, but this man here wanted more representatives to go to the church, make sure that the NAACP did not vote him. And sure enough, Reverend King put his name up for the nomination to lead the movement, then he won out. And the night Reverend King gave his acceptance speech, most of the people in Montgomery not heard a thing about Reverend King because he was just a pastor at one little church. But all the churches that night were represented here at the first leadership speech of the civil rights movement. And that's when he finished that speech that night. He was nominated that morning on Hope Street. Then that night he gave his acceptance speech at Hope Street Church, another church. And that one old lady in the audience said, "Oh Lord, you'll send us a Savior." That was the first basis. You know, on the same street, unusual thing how Reverend King said black people should stop going to the back doors of these white restaurants. He said we have enough places in our community to take care of our hungry needs, so don't patronize those places. He said, don't do that. And I was cutting it down, we talking all that talk. So one night when we finished cutting hair, my boss man then said, "Hey Nelson," said, "let's go over there on Fairview and get some of that fried chicken." They didn't have all of the fast food places like we got now, KFC and McDonald's. They didn't have that back then. But this white restaurant was known to have some of the best fried chicken in town. And so me and my boss man then goes over there on Hope Street, go to the side of the white restaurant, and you knock on the door, the waiters come and take your order. And you pay for it, and you stand on the sidewalk till you get it cooked. And I looked at the street that night, and I saw that blue Pontiac coming. I said, "Hey, woman," I said, "come here, Reverend King." He said, "Show you." So I ran to jump in the car to keep it from seeing. I said, "Come on." And by the time he got ready to come, the lady said, "The chicken is ready." So he had to make up his mind in a split second. So he went back and got the chicken. By that time, Reverend King had stopped at the stop sign. Reverend King bowed. Both of them remember the church. Reverend King bowed to him. He bowed to Reverend King. So I said to myself, I sure hope Reverend King will come back in that barber shop and stand the thing before the customers what they saw us do. And the next Saturday night, we had 10 customers on the bench and 3 in the chair. I saw that blue Pontiac pull up. I said, "God, that was the thing too." He came in the shop and I looked at him kind of mean looking face. And he took a seat, talked to the customer. So when he got in the chair, when I put the cloth around him, he whispered to me. He said, "How was the chicken?" I said, "How do you know that was chicken?" He said, "Some of my members gave me some one time, and it sure was good." I said, "You better stop eating white folk food, they'll make you sick." He said, "I said, you pretty healthy." So those some of the things, yeah. But one of the worst things we had in the barber shop, when Reverend King did the civil rights bill that passed, the voting rights bill that passed, and the Supreme Court decision. All that came out of Alabama. John Lewis and Selma, voting rights, then the civil rights bill, and Robert B. Gale, he passed, and then Great Bus. So Reverend King was invited to the Riverside Church in New York, one of the largest white churches in the country, the John D. Rockefeller building. And in that sermon, that's when he denounced the war, the Vietnam War. And I guess when he did that, because he said, "Why are they going down there and talk about civil rights and voting rights when we already got all of that?" So then that's when he was jumping to American Farm Power. So then he came back to the 90th anniversary sermon, the preached the 90th anniversary sermon. That was in the Brown. That was the kid that went to the United States Supreme Court. Rosa Parks' name was not even mentioned at the plan. But what happened is the Parks had been arrested But when she was charged, they charged her with disorderly conduct and fined her $10. And what she did, she paid the $10 fine, which implied that she was guilty. So when the attorney got ready to go to court, at the same time frame, they needed a plaintiff. So 5 black women have been arrested for this part. Rita Browder, Mary Louise Smith, and Ruth Browder. And so the lawyers there in Montgomery picked her name, Browder v. Yale. So when Ms. Park boarded the bus in downtown Montgomery, they did not have white seats and black seats. They had black section and white section. They had 10 black seats and 15 white seats. For an example, if you had 9 black people on the bus and 16 white people, the bus driver had the authority, based on the city orders, to ask that black person to move further back into the black section of the bus. Then vice versa, if you had 11 black people on the bus and 14 white people, the bus driver had the authority to ask that white person to move closer to the front and get that black person seat. So the day Ms. Park boarded the bus in downtown Montgomery, she was seated in the proper racial seat. The bus went 1 block, picked up a white man, and asked us to move. But then the bus pulled off another half block, and if you ever go to Montgomery, in front of the Empire Theater, then you would see the historical marker. That's what she was doing. So that would be a lot of confusion. But see, it was just, so the bus driver did go to bring about integration, and Mrs. Parker gun paid pretty good because he violated the city order. Mrs. Parker did not violate the city order. Then her son, I cut his hair, and he's still upset because Mrs. Parker name was known all over the world, and good people know anything about the leader problem. That was the Reverend King funeral. I was a visit there. I was Dr. Love, and man, you see, right next to me, those were 2 business properties. My brother was one big, take the picture. I was big, we stayed in Montgomery. I was visiting there, and so that's Brian Stevenson, man over at EGI in Montgomery. Never done him there. That's another newspaper report on the side. That was still up to Mr. John Lake Home up in Kentucky all the time. So this was a sad day in Montgomery. A black man was killed, and Reverend King was out of town. Reverend Abernathy decided, let's have a prayer march. This is Reverend Abernathy. Let's have a prayer march from Dexter's Church over to the state capitol, which was a half a block away. After all the black churches, after your 11 o'clock service, will you come down and join us for this prayer march? All the churches agreed to come down after the 11 o'clock service to march to the Capitol for the prayer march. About 11:30 that day, they said the city police department put a radius all around the block, 2 blocks, nothing in but black folks. There's no white folks in. So when they got out of church, you see the look on their face, they didn't have cell phones and things then. They were looking for a sea of black people. And all they saw was a sea of white people. And this policeman, you can probably go to YouTube and pick this up. This policeman stuck him in the wheel with that belly club and turned him like a little baby. He was so humiliated and he hurt him so badly. And he kept all the money for the Montgomery Improvement Association. He was the treasurer. And he had a nervous breakdown, but Reverend King didn't know about it. He went down to the General Motors dealership and bought 4 new cars in the Montgomery Improvement Association name. And Reverend King said, what in the world? He didn't know he had the mental problem. And so the General Motors dealership in Montgomery was kind enough to take the cars back without any legal action. When he left Montgomery, moved up to Tennessee, he jumped off the bridge and killed him. He was psychological mind just got messed up. Because that was Miss Jordan Gilmore right here. That's why I was involved. But see, they were looking for black people, they never white people. That was one of my success stories. One of the boys, one of my customers named Darryl Lamar. And he really wanted to go to Tuskegee for pre-med. But anyway, Harvard University found out about his background. So they sent him, took him away from the he was going to Alabama State at Tuskegee. So Harvard sent him. So then he was so smart, when he got to Harvard, he studied medicine. When I bring it up Montgomery, I said, Darryl, I said, when you finish medical school, I'll be an old man. I'll like to be your first patient. He said, yes, sir, Mr. Malden. I'll keep that in mind. But he got in Harvard. He was so bored taking medical pre-med, then he took another major business administration. So I said, when you finish Harvard, MD and MBA, then he, I saw him, I said, what happened? I saw him media participation. He said, Mr. Malden, when I finished Harvard University, rekindle Corporation in New York made me off, I couldn't refuse. I said, wow. So anyway, when he came back, I lost that program some kind of way, and his mother called and asked me if she had another one of those programs. She said she didn't have one, but he'd be in town. I tell you, about 6 months ago, he came back down. He was living in New York, and he brought me this program. And in that program, he showed me that MD, the MBA. And then I asked him, I said, you sure let me down because I want to be your first patient. He said, Mr. Malden, I can't tell that right now. I said, what are you doing now? He said, I'm on Wall Street. I said, what are you doing on Wall Street? I didn't want to be programmed, all kind of crazy quick. He said, my client started at 75 million. So that's the only thing I said. He said, in order for him to be assigned a client, they must have a $75 million. Then he got a nanny, he got a little girl, he got a nanny for her, then he get another little girl, he can get 2 nannies. He get a upstate New York. I said, boy, he went a long way. I said, I'll give you. Then now this is the thing, that's Little Richard. Little Richard came to Montgomery to do a concert. He was in the first day, he came out of the barber shop, and he spoke to us, and we were so proud to have Little Richard in the barber shop. And so, he had a 2-day layover, after 3-day layover, because he was going to leave Montgomery and go to Malden for his next concert. And so we had a shoe shine stand in the back of the barber shop. And so we didn't have no shoe shine shoes, but we'd see it at the stand. So he'd get up on that stand and spend the day talking with us. And everybody was so proud to see Little Richard. So one day he came in and had this big old powder puff, big old red rubber powder puff. That was black men used to have back then. It's a rubber powder puff. He came in the barber shop with that big old powder puff. He got back on the shoe shine stand. My brother was kind of homophobic, My brother was, He got up on the shoe shine stand. My brother chaired on the back, and I always cut on the front chair. Then he said, woo-wee. My brother said, what's wrong with you? He said, Little Richard, y'all some pretty men. My brother said, I wish you wouldn't talk like that. So he went back there in the hotel room, the barber shop was in the hotel. He went back there in the hotel room. He came back and gave me that picture. God love all of his children. This picture here was made, that was John Lewis on the right, Reverend Douglas, Kane, James Palmer, Reverend Avenue. The white boy, he wanted to make that picture in front of the barber shop where my name would be for the historical mark. But when the people started yelling, the press and so many people just flooded out the barber shop. So what he did, he could still give me that shot. He ran down the street because he wanted to put the name of my barber shop would be in history, but he wanted to make all the people standing. But then he was not able, so he did make that shot. He ran down the street and he made the shot that they were marching down to the Capitol. I wish I could have got that picture because I'd have been very startled. That was Reverend King when he got out of that Birmingham jail. That was Reverend King fraternity at Alabama State. That was him over on the right. Second person on the right down the bottom. He tried to get me to go join his fraternity, but I just didn't have the time because I was working in the barber shop. I didn't have the time to join him. He didn't like that so much, but it is what it is. Now John Lewis, I shaved his head. He came back, the barber shop was closed, but I just went on and shaved his head. I told him it was $75. That was looking at his face. Man, I was just playing with him. I said, man, a big old head like yours, I spent a lot of time in so many years. Then he was fussing at me. He said, that was Obama's barber, his white shirt. And that was Reverend, he gave his barber shop. That's me on the back and the front. And he gave his barber shop in the Civil Rights Museum in Birmingham. So I ran for Obama's barber. So any chance I could cut Obama's hair just one time, just he tried to ring it, but he didn't get it through. The FBI clearance, all that other stuff. But he gave this man in the middle, he gave his barber shop to, if you ever go to Birmingham, to the Civil Rights Museum, you see that barber shop. And that was the man who rigged the election to get ready to clean that. Yeah, in the car. That was Joe Louis, he wasn't King. I don't know who that is. Anybody know that fellow? Anyway, that was racism is something that you cannot always see. When I turned 18 years old, during that time, you had to go down to the post office and register for the draft. In other words, in order for you to be drafted in the army anytime they wanted you. So I was living in Montgomery at the time. I go back to come. My mother sent me the letter that you've been having drafted. So I go back to come school. I told the lady at the post office, I said, yes, I'm in school at Alabama State College. And I got about 6 more months. I said, can I get a deferment until I'm finished? She said, no, you got to go now. I came back to Montgomery and they're getting ready to go to Fort Benning, Georgia for basic training. And I got in, and we were about 15 boys, black and white. We get in line tomorrow, we get on the bus to go leave Montgomery, going to Fort Benning. And one of the men opened the door and said, Nelson Malden. I said, oh Lord, what have I done? We were finna load up and go to Fort Benning. Come back here. I walked back in the room, he just said nothing. He said, raise your right hand. I raised my right hand, he still didn't tell me nothing. He said, you're in the Navy now. I said, Navy? He said, yeah. They put me in a car and another white boy and drove us to Birmingham, Alabama. When we got there, another white man met us. He said, not the pilots of the United States Navy, but it's the pilots of Alabama. White boys go here and eat, and black boys go here. She gave me a ticket, a meal ticket, smeared me down. He put us at night in the Pullman car, sleeping car, and we rode all night. And the next night we arrived at downtown Chicago. I had on a suede jacket and cotton shirt. When I stepped up at the Pullman car, in December, I thought I was free to death. Then we left downtown Chicago, then we rode Great Lakes, where I go to the basic training. When I got to Great Lakes, the man was filling out the paperwork. He said, Nelson, I see, but you can be in for 2 years. He said, you can sign here, and you can make rank, and then you can, but you got to sign for 2 more years. I said, sir, I said, I'm in school at Alabama State. I said, I'll lose all my credit if I signed up. He said, well, you're going to be chipping paint and mopping the deck. I said, well, I'd rather do that. You know, I can't stay on 4 years, make rank. And so then I went on the ship, chipping paint, mopping deck. But the only thing I ever made an A in high school was typing. I just had a natural knack for typing. And so when I would go in the ship I was assigned to, we had 450 Marines and 150 ships coming. But at no time, but one time, the whole while I was in there for 15 months, the Marines came aboard one time, 450. Never, none before or after that time. Just 1 week. And then that side of the ship was nice and clean, it had a nice typewriter. So when I get ready to write my mother thing, I go around and use the typewriter on the Marine side, very quiet and everything. So then I didn't make a mistake. Sometimes I throw the paper in the trash can. So one day I went around there and saw the trash can was empty. So somebody been around here. So another day, the lieutenant was standing outside the door. He said, Nelson? I said, yes, sir. He said, have you ever been arrested? I said, no, sir, I've never been arrested. He goes away, come back the next 3 or 4 days with a stack of paper, different color paper. He said, you got FBI clearance. I said, FBI clearance, what is that? FBI clearance, the ship I was on with the flagship, and we made up the order. So I had to type up the orders. They make no rank, and the 2 white boys supposed to be doing the typing. My typing evidently was better than theirs. So I did the typing, but then they got the credit. I made no rank enough. But so that was racist, but I couldn't see what was going on at the time. He had made the damn FBI clearance, I didn't know what that meant. I said, no, so I'd never been arrested. So that was the thing was, you know. But so I call it racism, so that didn't even hit me to the day because I made no rank, but I did all the typing. That's all my brothers. That's all my brothers before. You know, the 2 sorry women that you ever see, she loved him so much. I said, no. You know, anybody see my picture on there? My grandfather was a slave. He came, a white man owned him in the Carolina. He came in Monroe to build a church back in the 20s. And I wonder why my grandfather had such a way up in the town. But he had learned that trade from the man that owned him. After slavery was over, he stayed on with the white man. And so then my mother was born in 1900, my father was born in 1896. Her father was a Malden, and her grandfather was a white man. When the white man died, he gave each one of his children, one other baby for him. My mother had 4 sisters and 5 brothers. And when my grandfather died, he gave each one of his children 10 acres of land. And my grandfather was married to an Indian. And my grandmother married to an Indian. And so I got all this stuff. That's what it was. Anyway, so many stories to tell. When the Reverend King came in the shop after the Civil Rights Bill passed, he said, "Malden," he says, "I've been enjoying the Civil Rights Bill." I said, "Well, I had one bad experience." He said, "What's that?" I said, "Shortly after the Civil Rights Bill passed, I went home tonight, I told my wife, I said, let's go and check out the Civil Rights Bill. We've never been to an integrated function before in Montgomery." So we got all dressed up in our Sunday best, and we go down to the Diplomat Inn for the cocktail lounge, a hotel, and a restaurant. So we go into the cocktail lounge, all these rock and cranberry, all the little water. We were kind of nervous, but then the night went on, the cocktail lounge started filling up. And so then I had my second round of drink. Then 4 white boys came in to the joining table there. And then one of the band members said, "Do we have anyone want to make a request? Anyone want to make a request?" And one of the white boys jumped up and said, "Play Dixie." And boy, that band cut loose on Dixie, boom, 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 boom. And so then one of them jumped up. He said, "The ends are in tonight." He used that word. He said, "The ends." I got so scared that when they had the rock and cranberry through some of the ice, I almost jumped out and let me have a sitting. I told my wife, "Baby, we better leave." She said, "Okay." And when we got ready, got to the door, the band said, "Bye-bye." But you come out embarrassed. So I told Reverend King about this story I just told you. He said, "Let me tell you one thing. If you had went to that same place before the Civil Rights Bill passed, that band would have probably played Swing Low, Sweet Cherry, or Come to Carry You Home." I said, "Me?" I said, "You ought to, preacher." I said, "You know what a spot is." Swing Low, Sweet Cherry, Come to Carry You Home. Anyway, that was some of the stories. With the worst one, like, that's the worst one that ever happened. The man in the barbershop asked him, "Why did you go against Lyndon Johnson farm policy?" The church invited Reverend King back to preach the 90th anniversary sermon in 1967. He came out of the barbershop while he was in town. And he met one of the Alabama State College professors in the shop. And one of the college professors said, "Reverend King, I read about your sermon at Riverside Church." He said, "Why did you go against Lyndon Johnson foreign policy?" He said, "Lyndon Johnson gave more to black people than any other president." Reverend King said, "Well, Lyndon Johnson is a politician. I'm a man with a claw." And so anyway, he said that, "I think he did a great disservice to his administration because he helped us so much." So the conversation was getting out of hand. My brother was getting upset because William man was pushing Reverend King. So Reverend King saw the conversation getting out of hand. So he decided he just turned it back and walked out of the shop. Then the professor said, "You're going to be killed." And we didn't pay much attention to it, at that time. And sure enough, 4 months later, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. But the thing that got me, the night before he was killed, he said he had been to the mountaintop, he had looked over, he had seen the promised land. I said, "Damn," then the next day his brain blowed out. So he must have knew something going on. So anyway, the man I was cutting when he left Montgomery, Richmond Smile, that was his lieutenant. But so every time he left in 1960, every time he would come back to Montgomery, him and his wife would stay with Richmond Smile. And so the night that they was killed, the telephone rang, and he said, "Lady, there's Ricky in there." I said, "He's in the chair." So tell me Reverend King in the chair. I started crying, and so by the time I said, "Ricky came in," and by the time I put the telephone back, I found him quick. He probably he hit one over. I so I had my finger grabbed and put a cold towel to his head. Keep talking. But that problem that was sad today that we were had in the barber shop. But he did have Secret Service, Leonard Johnson signed Secret Service. He came back one day, it was 2 million pops across the street. He thought it was insurance man. But when he came in the shop, they drove up, and when he left. So all that stuff was a normal story. But he got his PhD in systematic theology from Boston Theological Seminary. But I could see he was so smart because he was pretty bold on Morehouse campus, being the maid, around that type of people. My brain was together, that type of environment, Then he got his undergraduate degree in sociology. Then he got his PhD in systematic theology, so sociology. When he came back to Alabama to lead the movement, by him getting that degree, he was able to already handle the situation. He wasn't on Malden. But he knew how to make people. And the biggest challenge he had when he was put on the court order himself, not the marshal. That people from all over the world, Catholic sisters, senators, come to Selma in Selma, Alabama, to march in Selma, Montgomery. And he was put on the court order not to march because the government had to get the military in operation. So the 101 Alabama flew into Field and all that. But that means he put on the court order because he thought the Klans were going to attack the black people. They're coming through Lowndes County on Highway. So he put them on the court order. And then other people in the march, they thought it was a racial thing. And so they said, "Let's march." So Reverend came there and up to the front and carried him back, and they were able to march the next day. Then there's Laura Luther, the first white woman killed. She was hard. People back and forth. The march 10 miles a day. Then they go back to Selma, the first 20 miles. And the other 20, they go into Montgomery. And so that night, the last campsite was at St. Jude Church. It was a Catholic hospital. And then Tony Benny, John Bayer, Harold Butterfly, Sammy Lee were doing all that night. When Tony Benny came out on the stage platform, he said, "I left my heart in San Francisco." And the big lady was standing by me. She weighed about 400 pounds. She grabbed my hand. Tony Benny said, "I left my heart in San Francisco." And but time was the heart of the right now. I said, time was so like that. So seriously. But anyway, that was a big night. Pretty much himself. But that was the saddest day when the man said, "You're gonna get killed." So anyway, what happened to historical people? Here, chapter 8. I think you got to build a name up there. Even though you're born in 1920. My daughter did her, my dad outside the block. His mother, she was an educator. They sent her to go to her school, but she had a way of spanking. She could drop the desk, she got up behind her. So my mother got mad and pulled her out. And so then, Jack Dean had 16 sisters and brothers. He left, he finished high school back in Florida, and he took Tuskegee, he made it physical education here in the county. He was a football player. And he was a renowned speaker because his mother was an educator. I guess he was a rock. And his sister taught me in the 3rd grade. And once a month, some missionary, teenage missionary would come up to the school and teach us about school. We had all these beautiful black boats and everything. But they were training to go to Africa and Christianize the mission Africa. So one day in chapter 10, younger sister, she was talking in high school, she came to visit, and she saw them 2 white teenagers in there teaching us the Bible. And she said, "What are you doing?" And we told her, "So we trained to go to Africa." And after we went to the white school to do that, I said, "No, And so that's how they would practice on us, how to spread the gospel, spread religion in Africa. very important. But then now I think we need to spend the time on what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing in this country. We know about all the governments. We know what's going on in Washington right now. You know. That's very understandable. But now, if I leave anything, we got to put more emphasis. We know what we're doing and what we're doing now, because things are changing so fast. The education system, computer science, AI, and all this stuff. And I've got to tell anybody, if you go to a party, any young people in this room go to a party, anything, you put that one pill in your system, sometimes it'll run your life. And you can't take that one pill. And please don't do that. Probably my daughter be mine. Please don't put that pill in your body. And try to study. Then Reverend King, sociology professor, said, we got to stop all this triviality. He said, we're like imbeciles on our sex out, on our sex. He said that you cannot make yourself do that stuff. My brother John Hopkins, he had a budget there, $56 million for teenage nursing. All the department for teenage nursing. And so when I was being given a little talking a little book, and one of the head of the department said, Nelson said, I got a little trouble. I wish you could talk to him for just a minute. Basically, they were studying his brain. And so he came down, dressed up about 16 years old. I told you, Martin Luther King about a few talk. And so we just talking very light. Then when I finished, I gave him crazy for it. I said, how the girls? You know. Then he said, boy, you're not froze. Right my head down, I said, I messed up. He said, Mr. Martin, you cannot make yourself do that straight. I said, what are you talking about? They said, it made you. You walked away. Then another bad experience we had. Right before my talk, we were out in the hallway, one of the men was introducing himself to speak. And we just had a light conversation going. And he said that educated, rich white girls are not having babies. Then I couldn't pick up when you had one of the black faculty members had some grapes and cheese or for us to eat before we went on the stage. And so I could tell the black lady was kind of eavesdrop. So I could, he said, see one of the professors there, John Hopkins. I said, oh yeah. But then he said, educated, rich white girls not having babies. Out of the clear blue sky. So I didn't know what to say then. I got kind of confused. So I said, I guess uneducated poor black girls would make a difference. And I said that, boy, that lady, she looked at me. We got into the auditorium, we had about 500 members. When I got up, she got up and walked out. That was about when the embarrassing moment. All I would say, I know where the white man was coming from. Educated, rich white girl not having babies. I thought you were talking about the population problem. So I said, I guess uneducated poor black girls will make up the difference. Look like I she looked at that woman. I believe she had a pistol. I believe she was shot. But then that's another story, you know. They said, then I was so hurt what they did to me. Then I think it. But anyway, man from the New York, he sent me a letter from the New York Times. He said that he sent me a letter from the New York Times and showed the white population how it was. He said, well, he said that when the computer age coming in, so man sat behind the computer all day. He said this flooring is now not hard enough to translate female. Then the boy told me, he said, why do straight men against gay? He said, pardon me, it's not a gay, they just don't understand. He said, this was designed for reproduction. When a male take a fluid, put it in a female, they have a baby. It's pledge and responsibility. He's pledging and responsibility. When you take that fluid out of that bottle and put it in a female, you got a baby. That's a privilege. But on the other hand, there's no responsibility. Man, God knows. He didn't know how to study it. He said that the scoring from the average person on the computer to the population will definitely go down because it's not the purpose of sex for reproduction. But he had a whole lot of other stuff going to the analysis of that. But he said that's education, understanding. He said the big thing about education is to teach you not write correct sentences, but how to think and problem solve. He said the propaganda, you see what we experience now in Washington, that propaganda machine that Trump is using to get people so confused. We've got to be able to dissect what is going on. The time will change all of this. Okay, I'll give you some questions here, so I'm going to get a pull out here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Malden. Maybe before I take questions. Oh, Lord, sorry. Okay, Mr. Malden, before we take questions, I would just like to thank everybody. When you spoke, I saw everybody's very, very attentive. And I believe you've learned something. You have questions to ask. Mr. Malden is here, would give you answers to the questions you have. However, I just want to arrogate the prerogative of being the chair of the interdisciplinary seminar series to ask Mr. Malden, when I put information that he was going to come and talk, I have a friend who is a big time follower of Mr. Malden and Dr. King, civil rights. He's a medical doctor based in New Jersey. And he was like, please, I would just like you to ask Mr. Malden a few questions. His name, and I'm sure he would certainly like the fact that I'm asking his question, is Dr. Mondua. He lives in Delaware and practices in New Jersey as a pediatrician. He wears so many hats. And he would like to know how Dr. King was when he was relaxed with fellows in the barber shop. That's the first thing he wants to know. Was Dr. King somebody who liked to crack jokes? Was he a prankster? Was he generous or a tightwad? Right? He says, we have been presented with the Olympian figure to the point that we forget that Dr. King was a huggable, lovable, and a flawed human being. Can you just tell this fan of yours, Dr. Emil Monroe, what Dr. King was?
Dr. King was a very down-to-earth person. Besides, one of his favorite sports was pool. He loved to shoot pool. And one of his favorite friends was another doctor named Jeff Underwood. And Jeff Underwood had a lake home, and Dr. King, they go up there and shoot pool. Around the corner from the barber shop was a pool room. And them young boys trying to get me, they wanted him to bet money. But he refused to bet. You know, when you're shooting pool in the pool, you take the money you bet and put it up under the cushion, the one who wins, you know. But he never would bet the boys. But he was very down there. And the chauffeur, his mechanic, Chevron station down the street. And when he first came, he was an ordinary person. He didn't get famous until that night at the church when he gave that shot in the street. But for him, as a human being, he's like a practical human being. You want to keep cracking jokes, you know. And like I said, two of his youngest, oldest children, they were born in Montgomery, which had about $100. And one lady said, "Man, you better stop having your baby. You be able to preach, you know, all that kind of crazy stuff, you know." And they cracked jokes with him. Around the corner was pool room, and they had a barbecue place around the corner. They had a place to cook camps, do. He just worked at the city close library. The Reverend King then was the white library, but it was segregated, so he he always used Alabama State Library to put his finished text in his dissertation. That's when he met all the other faculty members at that time. But for us, him being, then he made the other lady rich by him, then when he got famous, taking all those celebrities around to the house. But he was rather down to earth than anybody ever wanted to see. He wasn't there for computer. But I think when he got that degree in systematic theology, so he knew how to handle himself. But you see, his dad was a preacher, his granddad was a preacher, and his mother was pretty well off financially. And so he had, well, I guess, I don't, like, he brought Benjamin Mays, who was president of Morehouse College then, he brought him to the Bible shop one day. When I put my hand on Benjamin Mays' head and turned his head, I felt my brain moving. Then he had a bride when he came up here, William Home Barter, Lawrence Gray, highly educated people. Howard Thurman was the leading black preacher in the United States. And Bunner John was a pastor of Dexter Church before the Reverend came. And Bunner John's sermon in 1926 has been published all over the world. He was the first black minister in the United States to have a sermon published in 1926. That went all over the world. And that's when Reverend King said came to Montgomery because he thought it would be an honor to follow behind Bunner John's pastorship. And one Sunday, when that Sunday, before Reverend King really got the job at Dexter Church, because the last Sunday Reverend John preached the church said they couldn't have it. He said he had to leave after that Sunday. I ushered that particular Sunday. And that Sunday, when Reverend John got up, there was a white man left from Switzerland. And they read about Bunner John evidently. And every time some white around the world, who is this black man in Montgomery, Alabama, preaching at Dexter Church, they would come out and see him. So one Sunday, that Sunday, the white man was in the church. And Reverend John, in his sermon, he said, unless the miracle white man changes his way, I can foresee that one day he will take a battalion of tanks when he goes to the outhouse. And after the service was over, we had an emergency meeting. So I just went down, I was rushing, but I just, there was some air to ride home because I rode in the church and that Sunday's car was in the shop. So when the church service was over, they had called for the emergency meeting, so Mr. Darius else, you go ahead on, because I get a ride with somebody else. So I went on, I said, I don't have anything, I can wait on it. So I went on down to the basement of the church, and I stood at the front door of the Dexter Church. And so then in the meeting, Deacon Brown said, you really embarrassed us today. John said, what did I do? He said, you saw the white man in the church, why are you talking about going to take a battalion of tanks for him to go to the outhouse? And the Reverend John said, I was trying to be nice. He said, I said, nice. Then he had a hot temper, Brother John did. He said, well, I'll tell you, damn it, what I'm going to say next time I see a white man in the church. I'm going to say what I really wanted to say. I said, boy, I was so nervous, I didn't know what to do. He said, unless the miracle white man change his way, I can see the 4 C's going to take a battalion of tanks when to go to SHIT, HOUS, and that was the last one.
Okay. Wow.
He said, he was out of power for 2 years.
Okay.
But anyway, Reverend King, he had nice Pontiac car. There are all kinds of stories about all you. Y'all heard about some of those stories. Okay.
Let's take questions.
No questions.
All right, let's take questions now from our audience. Please, you've heard, ask questions. Remark, reflect, react. Yes, Professor Cole, Perry.
I saw like you met or just had a lot of different interactions with a lot of people through your presentation. I just wanted to know like what's the biggest or greatest lesson that you learned throughout meeting all these
The
people?
greatest lesson you've learned from your meeting with different people and interacting with all the people.
Well, the greatest lesson I ever learned was sociology professor in Hampton Institute. He met Reverend King in the barbershop one day. You know, I said earlier, Reverend King got his undergraduate degree in sociology from Morehouse. And the sociology professor in Hampton Institute, he was going to give a talk at Alabama State, but he came out of the barbershop. And so that Reverend King was in there. And they introduced themselves to each other, and they were trying to figure out what can black people do now to improve our condition in the United States. So the sociology professor, one thing we could do, we spend too much time on trivialities. He said, we got to go back to the basics, how human beings function in a society. We got to find a common denominator and a basis what makes human beings function. He said, all this other stuff, slavery and all that was understandable, but he said, my conclusion, it was money. Money. Real came, you know, he didn't like the term money. He said, when the American white man came to this land here that you call America, he had an organized system. The Indian had an organized system. But the white man organized system was able to overdo the Indian. Then when he built a great university to educate himself, the Harvard, Yale, and the Princeton, he got control of the resources. He said when they got the oranges in Florida, the sugar cane in Louisiana, the oil in Texas, the grapes in California, the tobacco in Virginia, the cotton in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, the corn, the whiskey, Jack Daniel whiskey in Tennessee. He said they built Wall Street to control the capital, and they built West Point to defend it. That is the United States of America. In real case, he had a good day. That is all this triviality. He said, time is the factor don't change. He said, why do you need a mule and a wagon to go from Alabama to California when you cannot go to jet plane? Why? For time. He said, watch time. He said, how you need that? He said, why you need a mule and a wagon when you cannot go to jet plane? So I think that was one of the best statements I ever had the whole while I said that. When he built West Point to defend it.
Yes.
Okay, when was the first time that you meet Martin Luther King Jr.? Was he already an adult when you met him?
He was 27 years old. He was still in school. They bought him here a lot of time. And he came, he went to church, hired for $5,000 a year until he got his PhD. But he had to go back and forth to Boston to defend his dissertation. So he was able to stay full time. So after he got his PhD, then he took break and got to full time job. He knew, like I said, a heck of a lot in the box shop. So he spent a lot of time in the box shop.
Any other questions? Yes.
What was the day you realized things started changing for like how
Well, it changed so gradually, hard to pinpoint. You know, it's so times you not always see the change. You know, I know there's commercial on television now. I just count numbers now. You got more interracial commercials than you do same race. You know, white woman, black man. The commercial is just really good nothing out. It came out earlier. The black man was in the bed with some black saw too, and the white female blonde said, "Baby, can I bring some tea?" I said, "Oh Lord." If you say that in 1950 time, he said another thing, it's like a log flow down the river. Man, thousands of years ago, he saw a log flow down the river. Another 1,000 years, he got on the log and rode the log down the river. Another 1,000 years, he took a saw and made him a boat, carried his family down the river. Another 1,000 years, he built him a ship and he built him a school, a navigational science, how you can conquer the world. Now we're going to the new. You can't stop time. It's real. You know. They said the people in the science world now, they look at people like us and moronic because man, the knowledge that they have stuff is out of control. So that's telling you. But all they do is human brain. He said you can't stop the human brain from activating those professors. He activates consciousness. He said, wow, when you need 20 men to jam the carbon all day, when the machine, 20 men all day, when the machine is doing 1 hour. Time. Corporate America is probably the biggest factor we got going right now. You know, because it puts a lot of damage on people. You shouldn't bowl $7 million for state something. Commercial $7 million for $14 million for 1 minute. Anybody can pay that kind of money, baby. I tell you another thing, if George Washington Carver, in this same foundation where you are now, if he had controlled the wealth that he saved the nation from agriculture, without grapes, sugar cane, all that basic came from this institution. When you're teaching the farmers to plant foundation only. But one thing at the time, he was teaching us how to do the soil and improve the condition of fruit and food in Harvard University. Controlling the money. If Carter could have money that he used, made for the rich people in America, many days on to Philip Morris cigarette, then we could have been the richest institution in the world. Right here, not down the street, but right here, George Washington Carver, Booker T. Washington gave that speech in Atlanta in 1895. He said, drop your buckets, but he hollered, water. He said, defend the justice to drop your bucket. Water, he said, defend the justice, drop your water. Drop your bucket. He said, he dropped his bucket up from the Amazon up here in fresh water. The white man was on the defend the justice. When he gave that speech in 1895 in Atlanta Exposition, the president of the United States in the name of every school in the country. In 1895, when Reverend King gave that speech, I have a dream that one day little black children and white children will go hand in hand and build the largest statue in Washington, D.C. And all the thing he really did to Mahalia Jackson, if he done get the speech, he wasn't going over. But she hollered at him to Martin Luther Green with him. Then they built that statue. But when they went against the war, they built them. The man said, we lost him. We were going to get killed. 4 months later, Booker T. Washington, he kept the same spirit. He never changed from the military point of view. Money. Power. See, Reverend King didn't need the Martin Luther King. If you see the picture of white son, he had 101 albums. Remember one of my customers, he was teaching that one day, and he was teaching this class, and he saw this plane come in with people getting off with civilian clothes on. He said, what is going on? But he threw the 101 albums in the back of the field, and remember, they were in civilian clothes. They were standing out just in case. They had 5,000 soldiers. Stand back, particularly March himself. But he didn't value that shit at all.
Thank you, Mr. Malden. Do you guys have any questions or any remarks? We'll take 1 or 2 more questions before we round up. All right.
Must been a sorry speaker.
No.
Okay. If you don't have any other question, Mr. Malden, I would like to thank you wonderfully. And were there any people who came in and did not have a card? Mr. Malden's complimentary card. Okay. Just give him to go around. All right. Yes, Ms. Coleman, you have a question or a remark?
Just a remark. I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come here and teach us things that we've never learned about in school, because this is my first time, well, except for in class last week. It's my first time hearing about you, and it's nice to meet you in person, especially during Black History Month, just learning new things about our history and how we should progress and who we should know about. And I just love to be in this room with you. It's nice, and I just can't wait to tell our mom that I met the historical figure. So thank you for being here.
You know, we didn't tell her what Reverend King said about Michelle Madison, we can attend to about the law.
Yes, I took some notes and some videos.
I was just asking because what he was saying, make sure where you get it come from.
All right. Before we go, we want to thank Mr. Malden very much. And the chair of the Faculty Senate has something first for Mr. Malden.
So, Mr. Malden, thank you so very much for coming here and allowing us to share the same space with you. We feel so much better after listening to you, and this is a topic of our appreciation for you coming here today.
So we appreciate this. Chaplain. But it's an honor. I think that you did better things for me than what the information I gave, but I feel so good about it.
All right. You could just say that yeah. Mr. Malden, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. All the students here, I want to thank them too, because what you have done, words cannot say your struggle, your participation in this struggle has been phenomenal. And as chair of the university's interdisciplinary seminar series, as director of student engagement initiatives and coordinator of university-wide scholarship or a scholarship, I would like to present this plaque to you because we at Tuskegee, we honor your lifelong advocacy for civil rights and your unique perspective. You bring to us a unique perspective that you share. I did see in the hall individuals from the community who were not students that were in here. We have our students, we have staff. So it is on behalf of both community, students, staff, and faculty, all present here, that we present you with this plaque, okay? That we present you with this plaque to honor that lifelong service and advocacy. We just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Only thing I can say, it's good my mother's up there in heaven, because if she see me today, she would tell us me my father. She was so proud of her little son. And I thank you for the invitation. And I hope I can be able to say it to you.
All right. Those of you who might want to take pictures with Mr. Malden, I think he'll be available to give you a few shots. All right. Don't overcrowd. Just come one after the other. Get your picture really quickly. And then there are snacks outside. Okay. Don't go. Get some snacks. Get something to drink. And then we will consider this event closed. But I would like you, everybody, to give Mr. Malden a standing ovation.
Y'all get a chance to eat, I've never had.
Okay. All right. So those of you who want to take pictures, you could come one after the other. Just wait there. You guys want pictures? Yeah, come on, come on. Okay, that's fine. Yes.